Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new 4th of July edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce, joined by me, myself, and I here on the holiday to recap a loss today. We'll focus on Monday's game. We will touch on the Boston series as well. Coming to you for the first time since Friday when we talked to you last after a Cubbies victory. But really quick, really bummer news today on the holiday. Obviously, people trying to celebrate with their families, trying to enjoy the day, trying to, again, do what people do on the 4th of July. And obviously, the shooting events in Highland Park are not only sad, they're disappointing, they're frustrating, they're angering. Um, they shake you up a little bit, and it's a shame that people can't attend just an innocent parade and feel safe. And um, we'll keep it short and sweet because I know people do come to these shows to escape the reality, and I get that in sports. I think does that for a lot of people. Um, but thoughts and prayers to those families, but those affected. But T's and P's isn't enough. It's got to be more. Something's got to happen. People got to be able to be safe going to a 4th of July parade, right? I mean, when you think of kids picking up candy because they're throwing out candy to people and stuff like that. That's what the 4th of July, not people fearing for their lives. It's just, it's frustrating. It's angering. It's saddening. Um, and just, damn it, there needs to be some change. And I don't have the answers. I don't know if anybody does. But the conversation needs to be had. And really, 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 really unfortunate stuff happening today. Very local, right here around the Chicagoland area for those that are listening. In the Chicagoland area, has obviously Highland Park, up on the north side. So crazy stuff, and just needs to be talked about, needs to be addressed. Something needs to happen. Something needs to change, and hopefully that happens soon. But we will turn our focus now to the Cubs, and this is Cubs on Tap. And I thank you for joining me first and foremost as I take on this solo mission here with about 3 days worth of games here to talk about. So let's touch really quickly on the weekend. Obviously, like I said, Juice and I came to you live after Friday's win for the Cubs, and they went and got the series victory done on Saturday against the Red Sox, 3-1 victory. Mark Leiter, a huge performance from him, 5 1/3 after Mills exited with injury. He ended up picking up the win. Gibbons got 2 innings of work. And then Robertson came in for an inning in the third, got the job done, got his 11th save in that one. Kind of a boring baseball game, a lot of infield hits, a lot of crazy shit like that happening. But again, Cubbies got the job done. And then not so great on Sunday. Boston gets one back, 4-2 and 11. Keegan got a little roughed up, 7 hits, only 2 runs, though, and 4 innings of work. He did walk 3 and Cade 3. Got to see a slew of pitchers out of the pen, though, and they really got the job done for the Cubbies. Wick just gets beat up in his second inning of work there in the 11th. Cubs were down to just about nobody in the bullpen. I think Leiter Jr. having to come in relief of Mills really kind of screwed them as well. So it's a real bummer. And, as we said, 4-2, ultimately that one. But the Cubs take a series victory over a very good Boston Red Sox team this weekend. So a huge series victory for the Cubbies, winning 4 in a row into Saturday before losing on Sunday. But let's talk now about Monday's game. Cubs lose 5-2. And what the hell is it with former Cubs walking off the Cubs? Victor Caratini, 3-run shot in extras to put the game away, ultimately makes it 5-2. Cubs should have won this one. Let's just call it what it is. They should have won this game. If we got the Cubs that we've seen recently, because let's be honest, recently they've been pretty good, right? Cubbies have been really good lately. They've been doing some good shit. Unfortunately, today just did not work out in their favor whatsoever. And ultimately they lose 5-2. But before we get into some of the nitty-gritty, let's just go ahead and let's talk about some of the positives of today's game. Welcome back, Seiya Suzuki. Really good to see him back. He looks healthy. Had himself an absolute day today as well. 2 hits for him today in his first game back, hitting in the 4 hole. An inside the park home run for Seiya Suzuki, showing off the wheels there in the ninth. Again, off Josh Hader, who, from what I've been told and what I've seen, is one of the hardest relief pitchers to beat up. And who better to beat him up than Seiya Suzuki coming back off the IL? Damn it, that was a fun play. That's what you love to see. That's what baseball's about, right? Hits that weird corner that they have out there in left center, bounces all the way a hell away from Davis. Seiya just chugging. Took him a while to catch his breath in the dugout as well, but what a play by Seiya Suzuki. Things you love to see. As you can see, if you're watching live with me in my banner, Seiya, that's all it is. Hey, Seiya. He was a huge bright spot in today's game for the Cubbies. Another bright spot, Nelson Velasquez gets his first home run of his major league career. Good for you, kid. And it was an absolute firework, pun fully intended. As he just blasted that thing out to left field. Christian Yelich barely even moved. He took 2 steps, turned around, and just kind of watched it leave as Nelson Velasquez got all of it. And that was all the Cubs appeared to maybe need for runs. 2-1 heading into the ninth. The Brewers are able to walk in a run. Robertson gets a little wild in the ninth. 2-2. They get out of the jam with bases loaded. And then obviously Caratini walks it off in extras. Nico Horner, another hit today. He has raised his average now to 310 on the season. Things you'll love to see. Christopher Morel helping his on-base percentage today. He was 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, but did walk 3 times at the plate. So that's great. You'll love to see that as well. Rafi Ortega has a hit as well in this one after coming in for Nelson Velasquez later in the game. And that was about all the Cubs did offensively. It was a very quiet offensive game. Do not be deceived if you didn't really get to catch today's game by the 5-2 score, because it was really not an offensive game whatsoever. As we mentioned, 1-1 going into the top of the ninth inning there until Seiya's inside the park homer. This was a pitcher's duel today, and I think that's certainly worth noting here because for the Cubbies, one Justin Steele looked freaking tastic again. 6 2/3 officially for him today. 2 hits, only giving up the 1 run that came on the Severino double. He did walk 4 today. You don't like to see that number too high, but he struck out 9 to go along with it. And Justin Steele looked really good today, and that's what we like to see. We've talked about it absolutely ad nauseum here on Cubs on Tap. And, we need these young pitchers, we being the Cubs, right? We love to say we, and I try not to say we because we're not an actual part of the ball club. But the Cubs need guys like Keegan, right? Keegan had a little bit of a rough day on Sunday, and it happens. But for Justin Steele to come back out today and do what he did in a hostile environment up in Milwaukee, that's huge. Not only for him, but just for the Cubs. They need it right now. They're starting to get healthy, right? If you kind of tracked with us over the weekend, Drew Smiley actually is starting today in South Bend. That's probably right about now if you're watching live with me. You can probably catch that on MILB TV. If not, and you're listening to this tomorrow, Drew Smiley pitched on Monday. But he's making a rehab start. Marcus Stroman made a rehab appearance at AAA Iowa over the weekend as well. Guys are getting healthy. This rotation's starting to come back, and this rotation's going to look really good when everybody's healthy. Justin Steele was in the rotation already, and he's been sensational. Keegan's been great. I don't know if Keegan goes back to the bullpen or remains in the rotation. Mills is hurt again, so that immediately frees up a spot there, even a competitive spot if you think 2 or 3 guys are competing for one slot. But Kyle Hendricks obviously still there. And we should be seeing Strosho and Drew Smiley back soon. And hopefully that means we get Wade Miley back as well soon. Really haven't heard a ton about Wade Miley in the general news so far. But again, Justin Steele getting the job done. Things you love to see. Friend of the program here at Cubs on Tap. And we love a good Justin Steele shove outing. Maybe got left in a little long. I respect the idea that he was cruising and you don't want to mess with rhythm just at the first sign of something going bad, but you could argue that he probably should have come out after that Hiura at bat when he walked him. Looked a little gassed. He was getting up to 100 pitches. Again, Ross being a fairly young manager, I respect him. Again, I respect him giving his guy a chance to get out of the inning, right? The competitor in Justin Steele, I'm sure he was like, hey, let me try and get this. But again, maybe left him in for one too many batters. Nonetheless, it looked like the Cubs were going to get away with it because of the Seiya inside the park home run and them taking the lead late. But obviously, things don't work out after David Robertson gets wild in the ninth, and it's just rough, And that's a guy. Speaking of David Robertson, right? Juice talks about him kind of being that free money. Today's game certainly hurts, but he still has a pristine 1.95 ERA on the season. He has been so good. But in that one inning of work, 2 hits, the 1 run on the walk to Yelich. He did K3 though, so he struck out every batter that he faced, or every out he recorded, pardon me, was via the strikeout. And then Efros got tattooed by Caratini there in extras. And as we mentioned, he picks up the loss in officially 2/3 innings of work. So this one was something today, folks. This was truly a game, as indicated. If you're watching along with me, pour me a Caratini, pour me something strong. Based on just it is the holiday. But there was some bad stuff that happened today, as we mentioned at the top of the show, and the Cubs are just a frustrating fucking team. Let's call it what it is right now, guys. They show a lot of good, and we've seen this team play incredibly well over the last handful of days and even weeks. I mean, in their last 10, including today, they're still 6-4 in their last 10. They had won 7 out of 10, pretty much prior to that, coming into the weekend against Boston. They played really good baseball against the Boston Red Sox. And they played arguably a really good game today up until the freaking 9th inning and then in extras. Like, this team is right there. There's pieces here that are helping get the job done. Seiya Suzuki is a perfect example of that. He was the offensive spark plug, arguably, today for the Cubs. Pair of hits, the only player to get a pair of hits. You have Nelson Velasquez, who can come in and just hit a ball so freaking hard that Christian Yelich doesn't even move in left field. You can have Justin Steele come out and shove for 6 2/3 and K9 and only giving up the 1 earned run. That's still a hell of an outing. It just so happened that Lauer on the other side for the Brewers today did the exact same thing. It was a pitcher's duel all the way to the very end in this one. A lot of good stuff for the Cubbies. Even Robertson, he got a little wild. And, you can argue the little flare from Urias. Seiya did his best to get there. It was just in a perfect spot in the outfield where nobody could get to it. Just a little bloop that ultimately costs the Cubbies. But it's just the little things. And this team couldn't take advantage of it. And then Robertson, again, getting wild. And it was just really against Yelich, right? He started to kind of have it and lose it, the at-bat prior. But just, not even a competitive at-bat against Yelich. Yelich just stood there and took everything. And that's tough. It's tough when you're, and again, this is a young team. This is a team that's still learning how to win. A lot of these guys don't know how to win, especially the youth, right? The Christopher Morels of the world, the Seiya Suzukis of the world, the Nelson Velasquez's of the world, the Nico Horners of the world, right? Nico's been around, but Nico's been around for some pretty turbulent times in terms of Cubs baseball, right? The collapse in 19 to not even make the postseason when he was called up to play shortstop because of all the injuries. 2020 was a crazy year, right? Cubs start hottest team in baseball for the first, 15 to 20 games. And then they pretty much played 500 down the stretch. And, and they got bounced in the first round of the expanded playoff. And then in 2021, obviously the epic sell-off, right? We're all going to look back on that and it was monumental to change the roster. It really was probably the craziest trade deadline in recent memory. And Nico's been here through all that. He hasn't really had a chance to win. It's not like he was here, with guys like Willie and Ian Happ, who were here during very successful years of Cubs baseball. He hasn't been here yet. So most of this team is still trying to learn how to win. And nonetheless, you still got a hell of a competitive effort from the Cubs today. You got a hell of a couple of at-bats from Seiya Suzuki today in his return. You got a great start from Justin Steele. And you got a first career home run for Nelson Velasquez, which is pretty cool. I saw a stat actually on Twitter. Fun fact. Again, I need to start just keeping these tweets because I feel bad not giving credit to whoever it is that shared it. But the tweet was that in the last essentially 5 years, The Cubs have had 3 players hit their first career home runs on the 4th of July. In 2018, it was David Bodie. In 2019, it was Robel Garcia. And then this year, it was Nelson Velasquez. So kind of a fun, little weird, interesting stat for the Cubbies. 3 guys since 2018 getting their first career home runs on the 4th of July. So, metaphorical fireworks via the home run ball for some of these guys is a first for their career on the 4th of July. So, again, a lot of good today. I think this is a loss that it feels like kind of I'll find it and I will make sure I retweet it. One of the great followers of Cubs on Tap, he tweeted this out, and I cannot recall his Twitter handle to give him credit right now. But he was like, it's kind of just like a kick in the balls. And I'm like, yeah, that about sums up today's game. It feels like a kick in the balls a little bit, right? Like you're there, you have a chance. Oh, damn, that hurts. Then you start to feel better and you're like, okay, we're fine, keep moving, whatever. It's kind of how we feel about today's game, or at least I feel about today's game. Again, Seiya was great today, encouraging things. Nelson Velasquez, his first career home run. Justin Steele's great performance. The bullpen overall being pretty good today, right? Until Robertson got wild there in the 9th. Hughes got out of a jam, relieving Steele there in the 7th. And then Givens worked a clean inning of work, getting 2 strikeouts as well. Bullpen looked good today overall. Again, just little mistakes. This team just finds a way, it feels like, just to hurt themselves, really, right? And that's what makes them frustrating, but that's the growing pains. That's the youth. That's the learning. That's, this team just not being as competitive a roster as it been in years past. So all being said, it was a sucky loss. Again, I hate when former Cubs walk off the Cubs. Of course, it's Victor Caratini. I would rather it be Caratini than like Yelich or Wong or even Hira. Hira was annoying as hell today, if we're being totally honest, as a Cubs fan. But watching Caratini do it still kind of sucks too. So nonetheless, Cubs lose 5-2, but they're back in action tomorrow. 2 more games here with the Milwaukee Brewers over the course of the next 2 days. And then they go see the powerhouse Dodgers over the weekend in LA. But we'll save that preview for the end of the week. So my final thoughts just on today's game. Welcome back, Seiya Suzuki. Really good to see him back. He looks healthy. I think that's huge. He looks focused. Maybe he got to work on some stuff when he was hurt in just terms of the mental, right, of how pitchers were attacking him. Maybe he was able to make some adjustments working in the cage and then take some of that to AAA Iowa. He was very good. He went 4 for 9 in 3 games at AAA Iowa. I mean, and a home run and 2 doubles. So he looked good. Hopefully Seiya can carry that. That is my final thought. Welcome back, Seiya Suzuki. His presence in the lineup has truly been missed. And I think he's going to add a lot now to that middle heart of the lineup and really help out other guys like Ian Happ and Nico Horner. And some of these young guys like Velasquez and Morel, right? Because you have another respectable bat that teams have to worry about in the order. So that is my final thought. And also cool and tough shout out to our boy Justin Steele. As I said, friend of the program. Great game from him today. Hopefully we get to see another performance like that in his next start. But again, Cubs lose 5-2. Brad Boxberger, ultimately the winning pitcher for the Brewers, and Scotty F. Ross takes the L for the Chicago Cubs. But as I mentioned, we turn our attentions forward to tomorrow's game on Tuesday, July 5th. The Cubs are back at American Family Field, or Miller Park if you're like me and just think American Family Field sounds weird, or Wrigley North if you just want to call it what it is. Somebody's got to pay the bills to keep the house lights on, and Cubs fans usually do that pretty well up in Milwaukee. But as mentioned, it will be again in Milwaukee. It's a 7:10 local time start, so 8:10 for those in the Eastern time zone tomorrow. If you're listening in the Cubs market, it'll be 670 the score. If you're in Milwaukee, it's WTMJ 620. And then it's Marquee Sports Network and Bally Sports Wisconsin, respectively, for the 2 markets. For the Cubs on the bump, it is Kyle Hendricks having an uncharacteristically bad year. 4-6, 4.76 ERA so far for him, but coming off a pair of really good starts his last 2 times out. Hopefully he can build off of that and continue to take some of that momentum forward into this really would be a lovely win for the Cubs tomorrow against the Brewers, and it'll be Jason Alexander on the mound. For the Brewers, the righty is 2-0 on the season with a 3.82 ERA, only 15 Ks. Just by those numbers alone can tell you he probably hasn't pitched all that much. And I'm going to get you the exact numbers here. Yep, just 7 games, 5 starts so far for him. He's just thrown under 31 innings on the season so far. So a little bit of a fresh face guy that the Cubs really haven't seen. A couple of the guys have seen him here in the lineup because of one game earlier in the season against the Brewers. But I'll tell you what, this Brewers lineup has seen Kyle Hendricks quite a bit. There's quite a few guys on this team that have seen him more than 35 times in their careers. And some of these guys have success against him. Certainly most notably, Jace Peterson loves to rock his world, as does Colton Wong. Colton Wong hitting .358 and 53 career at-bats against Kyle Hendricks. Jace Peterson, .421 and 19 at-bats. So 2 guys to certainly keep an eye on tomorrow. Yelich hasn't really done that well, .233 and 43 at-bats against Kyle Hendricks. So I think we'll keep it simple for tomorrow, right? Kyle comes out and gets another start. I think that's another great start, I should say. That's a great place to start. Make it 3 in a row, Kyle. Make it 3 in a row for the professor. Good, strong outings, looking like the Kyle Hendricks that every Cubs fan is accustomed to, over the last, almost 8 years now. Of what we've gotten used to with Kyle Hendricks at the big league level. Hopefully he can get the job done, and hopefully the bats are more active. We mentioned it again today. Today was a pitcher's duel. A lot of strikeouts for both teams. Justin Steele and Lauer both dealt well into this game. Again, the first runs outside of Velasquez's home run really not coming until the 9th inning. I mean, that's really when a lot of the action, and the 8th inning, like that's in the 7th inning, you know what I mean? Back end of the game is when all the scoring really took place outside of the Velasquez solo shot. So hopefully the Cubs offense is more awake tomorrow. They get more going. Maybe they can get after Alexander early. I think that would be ideal. Cubs, one of the best teams at scoring runs in the first 3 innings. That first time through the order, they are fantastic at scoring runs. They're like second best in the MLB. But then 4 through 6 and 7 through 9, they fall off and are in like the mid and low 20s. So they're really bad at scoring runs in the back half of the games. The last 2/3 of the game, not so good. But if the Cubbies can get on teams early, they've got a chance. And I think that needs to happen tomorrow. Bats come alive early, get after these Brewers, get them down early, and let Kyle cruise, and hopefully the bullpen can take care of business, and the Cubs can at least make Wednesday's game interesting and make it a rubber match, because it is a day game. It's a getaway game for the Cubbies. That'll be a 1:10 start on Wednesday before the Cubs venture out to Los Angeles. And ladies and gentlemen, before we get out of here, I do want to remind everybody, Cubs on Tap is the official Cubs podcast of the On Tap Sports Network. You can check out all of our great work over at ontapsportsnet.com and at ontapsportsnet on social media. You can follow the pod-specific accounts here for us at Cubs on Tap. We are at Cubbies on Tap. That's CUBBIES. That's Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me. I am at Loose on Tap on the Bluebird app. You can follow all of our other great contributors here as well, at Joey Knows Nothing, at Juice on Tap, at Teddy Freddy 270, at Brandon M. Kane, and everyone else who helps us out here at Cubs on Tap. Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks, you know the drill. We got it all. And yes, Cubs fans, I believe the White Sox just started a little bit ago. If you've got buddies that like the Southsiders, or any friends or whomever, family even, please send them over to our friends at Sox on Tap. The boys do a great job of covering the guys at 35th and Shields. So once again, ontapsportsnet.com, at ontapsportsnet on social media, the On Tap Sports Network. Go ahead and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a safe and healthy holiday over this 4th of July weekend. As I noted at the top of the show, awful events happening in Highland Park. Hope everybody's okay. And it is something needs to happen. Something needs to give. As I said, T's and P's are not enough anymore. And happy 4th to you, my friend, Chief Redbeard, here in the comments. Always good to hear from you, sir. We miss you here. Hopefully we'll get to talk to you more in the coming weeks. Still a lot of season left, folks. Still a lot of season. I think we all forget that. But like I said, I hope everybody had a safe and healthy weekend. Hopefully everybody that's going back to work tomorrow, you're feeling good and you're feeling okay. Bummer of a loss for the Cubs today, but still a lot of good. A lot of we might not like silver linings, but there are still a lot of good things to unpack from today's game. And we hope you enjoyed tuning in with us here at Cubs on Tap on this 4th of July holiday. We will be back with you tomorrow after the Cubs and Brewers battle at 7:10 Central Daylight Time. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get out of here the only way we know how at Cubs on Tap. Fuck the Cardinals, and let's go Cubbies.